In this video, we're going to expand on the idea of areas of figures, and we're going to look at areas of composite figures. So going back to composite figures from pre-algebra, a composite figure is a figure that can be separated into regions that are basic figures, so our triangles, our parallelograms, our trapezoids, rectangles, circles, those things that we just looked at. In order to find the area of our composite figures, we're going to divide up our regions. We're going to find each area, and then we're going to add those areas together. So we're breaking it down into its parts to make it a little bit more manageable. If we look at number 1, the two different shapes that we have are a rectangle and a trapezoid. So we're going to start with finding the area of the rectangle. Then we'll worry about the area of our trapezoid. Remember that for our trapezoid, we need our two different bases. And since we have a rectangle on one piece, we know that 23 is also this length right here. So that's going to be one of our bases that we use. Once we find the two different areas, we are going to add them together. For example number 2, we have a parallelogram in the middle, and then we have two semicircles. Those two semicircles are going to be put together to find the area of just one regular circle. So we can just do 6 squared times pi. 6 is showing us our radius right here, and we can use the 6 to figure out our full length for our parallelogram. If 6 is half, then the full thing is going to be 12, and 5 is our height inside. Once we find those areas, we are going to add them together. Some shapes might have more than one or more than two figures in them. So number 3 has 3 different shapes that we're going to break this into. When we look at number 3, we have a rectangle, we have a triangle, and we have a semicircle, so we need to find the area of each of those 3 parts. Starting with our rectangle, we are going to use the fact that the entire thing is 26 to figure out that this piece is 17. 9 is given to us for our circle. So we are going to find our area of our rectangle. Then we'll work on the area of our triangle. For our triangle, the base is 9, so the 9 is the radius of our circle, and the radius of our circle happens to be the base of our triangle. And then last, we need to do our semicircle. And remember, if it's a semicircle, we're cutting our normal area of a circle in half. Once we have those 3 pieces, we're going to go ahead and add them together to find the area of the total figure. Number 4, we have 2 different shapes going on. The shapes that we have are our triangles and our semicircle. For our triangle, what we need to do is we need to find what our height is. In order to find our height, we're using our Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem, remember, says that our 2 sides squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. 16 in this picture is referring to our whole diameter. So if we're looking at just part of our triangle, our right triangle, then 8 is one piece of that. That gave us that our height is 15, and we can use that to find the area of the triangle. And the area of the triangle is going to be 120. We're also going to find the area of the semicircle by cutting our area in half, and then we'll add those together. Number 5, we have a couple of different shapes going on. So we have our square, we have a triangle, and we have a trapezoid. The reason I know that number 5 is a square is we have those little tick marks that tell us that those sides are congruent. So that means that we know that they are going to be the exact same thing. In order to find our side, what we need to use is our triangle. So our triangle is what's going to help us find that side length. Starting with our triangle, we have a right triangle here. So we're going to be able to find that bottom piece. When we find that bottom piece, we see that we have 12 as one side, and then we also have 9.6 as another side, and we're finding the third side. So 12 is the hypotenuse, 9.6 is one leg, and we're finding that other leg to be 7.2. 7.2 is half of our side for our square. So what we need to do is we need to double that to find that the side of our square is 14.4. Once we know that one side is 14.4, we know that all four sides are 14.4, which helps us with our trapezoid. Let's first start with finding the area of that square, and then we can find the area of our triangle. Triangle is 9.6, and then the base should actually be 14.4, not 7.2. So this area is going to be a little bit off. And then when we turn our attention to our trapezoid, 14.4 is one of our bases. The other base is 10. And then in order to find the height of our trapezoid, we are going to subtract 14.4, the piece with our square, from the entire distance of 25.4 to find that this little piece right here is 11. And I can find the area of my trapezoid that way. So again, this area is a little bit off for our third shape, which means our total area is going to be a little bit off as well. But same idea, we find the area of each piece and add them together. Going along with our composite figures, we can also find the area of shaded regions within a given picture. So when we're doing the area of a shaded region, we're finding the area of the entire figure, and then we're going to subtract the area of the non-shaded region. So if we look at number 6, we would find the area of the entire square, and then we're going to subtract the area of our circle. The circle has a radius of 12.5 because 25 goes across our entire circle. So finding the area of our square, and then finding the area of our circle, we are going to subtract those to find the area of the shaded region. Number 7, the two shapes that we're dealing with are a rectangle and a triangle. So starting with the area of our rectangle, we find that that's 350. For the area of our triangle, we find that to be 137.5. And we're going to subtract those to find the area of our shaded region. Number 8, we're finding the area of a semicircle and the area of a triangle. Before we can do that, we need to figure out what our diameter is. For our diameter, we're going to use the fact that we have a right triangle. With our right triangle, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find what our hypotenuse is, and that gives us 23.4. Once I have that, I can figure out what the area of the semicircle is and what the area of the triangle is, and then we're going to subtract those two. Is number 9. Number 9, we have 3 different shapes going on that we need to find the areas of. So we have a triangle, we have a rectangle, and we have a semicircle. We're going to start with our triangle here. So 37 at the bottom is talking about the tip of our triangle to the edge of our rectangle. So to find just the piece that we're talking about with our triangle, I'm going to subtract 17 from 37, and that leaves 20 as our base for our triangle. We also know the hypotenuse is 25, so using the Pythagorean theorem, we can find the other leg, and that leg is 15. Once we have 15 for our side of our rectangle, I can use that to find the radius of my semicircle. So half of 15 is 7.5. Information we need to find the area of our circle. So that's going to be 88.36. To find the area of the entire shape, we can either break it into a rectangle and a triangle and add them together, or we can just use the fact that this whole shape is a trapezoid and find the area that way. So 15 would be our height, 17 is the top base, and 37 is the bottom one. So that gives us an area of 405. And when we subtract the shaded part and the non-shaded part, we get our total area as 316.64. And if we have our measurement, that's going to be a squared. So composite figures are really just using our littler shapes to figure out what the area is. If we're looking at a shaded region, we are subtracting. Otherwise, we are going to add them. And that gives us the area of our composite figures.